Hey everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, The Practical Guide to Living a Fully Engaged Life. Are you ready to start living life to the fullest? Are you ready and willing to transform yourself and your life from ordinary to extraordinary? Then welcome, my friends, to The Fully Engaged Life. Welcome back to the show, everyone, and welcome to the next installment in this series where we are going through the various challenge practices in my book, Expansion Mastery. We're going to continue from where we left off with the second esoteric challenge in the heaven section, which refers to prayer and blessing. Now, this section might end up being a little different than what you think it is, because what I'm referring to as prayers and blessings may not necessarily coincide with the traditional Western religious aspect of that. So what I'm going to do is reveal a little more in-depth idea of what these things actually are, in order that we can expand our understanding of this topic. So let's look at the idea of prayer and blessing. So when we look at a prayer, generally there's the idea of bringing the hands together. And this is a very important part of the prayer. It is part of the ritual, but it is also helping us to unify our mind-body intentions. And it symbolizes connecting the physical world with the divine. So this is the nature of any time we put our hands in a prayer position. When our palms are together, our hands are straight. Even if we are doing a mudra where our fingers may be entwined, this is still the same. One hand is symbolizing the physical nature of life, and the other is the non-physical nature of life, more of the energetic, spiritual, divine. And the other is the more mundane, the mind and the physical body. So at the core of prayer is this idea of unifying these two things, unifying the totality of ourself. And this is one of the things that brings great power to this type of practice. So when we invoke prayer, this is not praying to someone or something in order to get something we want. This is really not what prayer is supposed to be. It is a way for us to mindfully, purposefully raise our vibration and to really reestablish a solid connection to the divine if we are unable to do that on a more regular basis, and be able to send our intentions out into the universe, to send our vibrations out. And this is why we have to be very careful of our emotional state and our intentions whenever invoking prayer, because prayer is more about the vibration than anything. It's not about your words. It's about the vibration. So when we invoke a prayer, my wife and I do this from the standpoint of using a very traditional, formal type of prayer, using either Sanskrit or Japanese, because those things allow us to get to the vibrational frequency that is desired. And the whole thing about this is we want to make sure that our vibration is high and our intention is focused appropriately, and then that is what carries that vibrational frequency, that energy wave out into the universe. Prayer is not something that some deity can ignore or acknowledge. It's just simply not how it works. Your vibration and intention, and the vibration is carrying the intention out into the great chi field, right? This field that encompasses everything. It permeates everything. That is truly the divine, is this energy. That is the ocean that we return to when we die. That is what we are communicating with. We're trying to raise our vibration to the closest frequency we can while being in mind and body, and sending that out, because you have to match that frequency in order to communicate. And then whatever you put out, good feelings, happy feelings, good wishes for people around you, things like that. And that's where you may get to experience the positive results of your prayer. The other thing we have to understand is that prayer isn't always being put out in a way to affect others, but prayer is a way for us to attune ourselves vibrationally. The whole thing about prayer is using certain tones and high vibration seed syllables, unlike the English language, in order to invoke this vibrational frequency change within us. You see, we have to be able to benefit from it first, and we have to be able to hold that vibrational frequency, and only then are we capable of emitting that through our intention, so it has a ripple effect out into the universe, this great field, the source, whatever you would like to call it. Many traditional mantra are a form of prayer as well. So you can choose something that fits you, whatever that may be. My wife and I have the things that we really enjoy, and there may be something that fits you that's different from ours. So it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's something authentic. I recommend avoiding things that we just make up, because this is what is causing true spirituality to be ruined, is the modern notion that we can just assign anything we want to it and it'll work. Well, I think you clearly see that that is not the case. Even many martial arts systems have a prayer that they open the class with and then end the class with. In the past, this was not at all uncommon. But today, because so many people are so easily offended by everything, this has gone away in favor of just having the focus be on the mundane. But traditionally, there was usually a spiritual connection with the physical and mental activity. And that has been removed from nearly everything we do today. And this is one reason we see so much of the poor behaviors that we're seeing exhibited by the masses today. Think about it. Back in the 1930s or 40s, at least here in the United States, even the 50s, there was a sense of class, right? If you went outdoors, you wore a suit, you wore a hat, you wore a tie, you spoke in a certain way. There was a sense of politeness and mindfulness for one another. Today, we are so focused on individuality that all of that has gone away. Now people go out in public in ratty clothes or their pajamas or whatever they're wearing now, and it just shows how little self-respect they have and how little respect they have for anyone around them. And this is what happens when we separate from the spirituality aspect of who we are. Without this sense of spirituality to help at least balance out the ego, if not cancel it out altogether, we become increasingly subjected to the perils of the mind and the ego. And all you have to do is look around and you can see this happening all around us today. When we disconnect from this sense of spirituality, we sacrifice our humanity. So doing some form of prayer allows us to have a sense of formality, of mindfulness, of purpose to the things we're doing, to our daily life. And it allows us to reconnect with that divine part of ourselves that allows us to embrace our humanity and live our humanity in the fullest possible manner. And remember, what I'm speaking of here has nothing to do with religion per se. This is spirituality. And most religions were designed to be spiritual systems of self-improvement, not organized religions, right? Now when we get to the idea of blessings, this is wonderful, and it builds on some of the things that we were practicing earlier in this chapter, where we had to become very mindful of our thoughts and our words and our actions. Here is another way that we are going to become more mindful of our words, and that's through blessing, right? I love the example of one of my grandmothers. Whenever she would get upset, my brother and I misbehaved or something, we were rather rambunctious sometimes, she would always exclaim, instead of going, "God damn it," she would always exclaim, "God bless it. You kids go outside and play," right? I had remembered that, and that always struck me, even as a child. It's like she's saying something kind of nice and positive, but her tone isn't necessarily positive at the moment. But she would never curse anybody, right? Think about it. How many times do people say that? They hit their thumb with a hammer strike, right? And, "Oh, damn it," they yell. And my grandma, if she stubbed her toe or something, that's what she would yell was, "God bless it." And I always thought that was very interesting. I didn't understand it as a child until I got older, and then I understood the wisdom in what she was doing. My grandma passed away a couple of years ago. She had a very long life into her early 90s, and I thank her for this kind of example, because it's really, really important to pay attention to the things that we say. So instead of cursing someone or cursing something, we bless them. This carries with it the idea of acceptance instead of resistance, because we can acknowledge the situation or the person for who it or they are, and we can bless them, bless your heart. This is something that I've tried to improve upon myself over the past couple of years, is to be able to include that phrase when I'm speaking of someone. So maybe I'm speaking about a student who's trying their hardest to get something, and I'm acknowledging that they can't quite get it yet, and we're working on it. I may say that, bless their heart for trying. They're really trying their best, and just bless their heart for doing that. And this is a very interesting phrase as well. Bless their heart. You understand that it's being aimed at the person's heart center. And this is something that goes unnoticed a lot, but it's very important. Because when you say something like that to someone, if you take their hand and you hold their hand in your hands, and you say, "Oh, bless your heart," because they gave you something, they shared some good news or whatever, you understand that's aimed at their heart center, their emotional center, that where we connect with our true emotions of love, joy, and appreciation, where we connect with our true self, our true consciousness. See, it isn't directed towards the head or the mind in order to stroke the ego. It's meant to allow the heart chakra to open further, right? Allowing the energy to come in and out, because it does that at the same time, and it allows your heart to open. So it's a way that we can open someone else's heart a little bit for them. And as we say those words, it has to come from our own open heart already. I was commenting on this the other day because I have a 12-year-old grandson, and he and I are quite close. And he is just such a good boy, just one of the greatest kids. And, it's incredible that he thinks enough to text me throughout the day. And he texted me the other day, and he sent me some video of him and a couple of his buddies launching rockets in the air, and it was cool. They worked really well. And afterwards, I was thinking about that, and I was just like, bless his heart for being able to contact me, to even think about me, and be able to contact me and share these things that he's doing, this fun that he's having. Bless his heart. If you want to say God before it, go ahead. I usually don't. I usually just get to the heart of the matter and say bless them or bless their heart. But this is just one instance where I have the ability to acknowledge that. And I'm sending that sort of vibrational frequency out towards him and out into the universe as a whole. So I share this as an example with you so you understand when it's fairly appropriate to have something like that arise. After a while, it'll just be normal thought. It'll be a normal thought pattern reaction that you have. Doesn't mean it's mindless. It's heartfelt every time. It's very heartfelt. And, it's just a wonderful thing to have people in your life that you can have that feeling towards, that, just bless them, bless their heart, for whatever it is they're doing and however it is they're doing it. And it's just accepting them for who they are. And this is very easy to do with those who we love so much. The challenge comes in to do this with the people that frustrate us or challenge our ability to not be upset or angry, right? So if you're working with somebody doing something and they do something foolish or whatever it is, that it just starts to bring up a sense of frustration in you, that's the best thing to do, is be able to acknowledge that that is happening and then just stop it and smile and even think to yourself, bless them for doing this, for giving me an opportunity to train and be mindful of myself, and just bless them. They're doing the best they can. So this also serves as a wonderful defense mechanism for you to maintain a higher vibrational frequency. And at the same time, doing your best to share that sort of frequency with others in hopes that maybe it raises theirs as well. And we can't control other people, so if it does, it does. And if it falls flat, then it falls flat. There's nothing we can do about it. But at least we can keep putting this positive vibration out into the world. And we all know that the world really, really needs that right now. So the way I recommend going about this is to begin bringing in some form of prayer into your daily or weekly routine. You can do this in the morning, you can do it in the afternoon, you can do it at night, as is tradition with Western religion, to say your prayers before you go to sleep. This is making sure that you go to sleep with a high vibration and you're emitting that. Why? Because you're going to fade into this reconnection to your consciousness while you are asleep. So while it's often misguided or misunderstood, the idea is very, very sound. I always include some sort of appreciation in my prayer. So even if I'm using a sort of prayer like the mantra of light, which is one of my favorites, if I'm using the mantra of light as a prayer, then I may do that, and I may even finish with a sense of appreciation. Now, the mantra of light is meant to raise your vibrational frequency to a very high degree anyway, but I like to add in this sense of appreciation because I find it's really nice to go to bed with that feeling of appreciation. And then I bring that feeling of appreciation out again first thing in the morning before I get up. And this is really easy for me to do because every morning when we wake up, my wife likes to roll over and kind of lay across me a little bit and snuggle into me a little bit, and I wrap my arms around her, and we lay there and we wake up that way with our arms around each other. And there's just no way I can't be instantly overflowing with appreciation because of that. When you get to start with the fact that, okay, my eyes are open, I get another day, I've got this amazing woman who loves me and who I love beyond all measure, and I get another day with her. How can your heart not be overflowing with appreciation, right? I've found that the power of appreciation is absolutely immense. And this is why I like to incorporate that into any form of prayer or blessing that I choose to engage in. And then the first part of the prayer is always to align my vibrational frequency, to get it as high as I can, as close as I can. By alignment, I'm talking about becoming in alignment with that of the divine source, right? Our consciousness, our true self. And then from there, I can radiate that outward. This is why we often hear that in spirituality, it has to start from within before it can radiate out. If it radiates out, then it's kind of hollow, it's fake in a lot of ways. And at the very least, it's not going to have much effect. But when it's radiating out from your center, from your heart, then it's going to have profound effects. So I encourage you to find a prayer that you like and make sure that you include putting your hands together. Okay? Remember what that symbolizes, and that's a very important part of establishing this connection, and that's going to help us to make what we're doing far more focused and far more powerful. But the prayer that you use must be meaningful to you. So you don't want to just get some generic thing or copy somebody else. It needs to be meaningful to you, but it needs to be a prayer. And remember, ideally, if you want it to be the most effective, it should be in some form of seed syllable vocalization, because those words are going to carry a more solidified sense of vibration out into the world, out into the universe. So if you're going to use something that you're going to recite in English, you might be better off saying it to yourself, saying it in your own mind, and instead just holding the emotional content and the intention of what those words mean. Because English language does not carry any sort of vibration to it that way that's going to be beneficial, unfortunately, but that's the way it is. And then start to use your mindfulness to bless someone every day. Start with one person every day, and then you can work your way up. If you want to start with more than that, that's fine, but at least start with the one. And for instance, somebody helps you do something. Maybe you drop your keys and you didn't know it, and they pick them up and they bring them to you. You can say it out loud if you want, or you can say it to yourself. It doesn't matter, but at least have that thought, that emotional content that comes from the heart. Bless them for doing that. One example, if there's a lot of traffic where you live, right, and somebody actually uses their blinker, or they do something that's courteous, again, that's a wonderful opportunity to go, bless them. Some of the times when we're waiting to get on the highway, if a person speeds up or slows down so we can merge easy, I like to think that, or even say it out loud. They're not going to hear it. My wife is the only one that hears it, but I still might say, bless them for doing that. Thank them for that. That was nice that they did that. Thank you. And then even if they don't get to hear that they were blessed by somebody, which may or may not mean anything to them anyway, it allows you to put that out, and then that's what you attract more back towards yourself. You'll have more reasons to want to bless other people, and you just can't go wrong with that. My wife and I were grocery shopping maybe a month and a half ago. We were walking through the store in the main aisle, and we were visiting, and suddenly this little old lady came out of a side aisle, and she came across and she grabbed my cart to stop me, and she grabbed my arm, and I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me, and she says, would you mind helping me? I need 2 boxes of this product, and they have it, but it's way up on the top shelf, and I can't reach it. Can you get that for me? And I started to smile. I said, yeah, sure, of course, I don't mind. So I walked over and I pulled the box down and I let her choose what she wanted out of the box. And she grabbed a couple of this product, whatever it was. And then she put her hand on my forearm and she goes, bless you, just bless you for helping me. And I couldn't help but smile. See, look at that interaction. It's just fantastic. And it's so nice. And people just don't have that sort of positive interaction with one another anymore. But we are supposed to treat one another in that sort of manner. And for me, it was really nice because I got to be on the receiving end of that for a change. And that was really cool. And it's just a wonderful thing when you can interact with someone this way and both of you just feel so good. This is really an indication of how we are all connected and we are all one at our base level, and we can't forget that. We shouldn't forget that. So I would challenge you to find a prayer that works for you and find an appropriate time to recite it that works for you. You can say it once. You can say it over and over. I mean, there's times that we repeat the mantra of light dozens or even 100 times. I've recited the Heart Sutra, right, which is a wonderful type of prayer. I used to recite that for 5 hours straight. I would do this while I was driving between Kalamazoo, Michigan and Dayton, Ohio. So find one that works for you. Find one that you feel connected to. Utilize it. Understand how to use it. Make sure you put your hands together. And then start to use this blessing idea to bless other people. You know, if you read a book and the author just wrote a really great book, when you close that book after you finish the final chapter, you can think, wow, bless them for sharing that. I mean, how incredible would that be, right? So this is the idea. It's nothing that difficult. It's just a way to be more mindful. It's a way to start to reconnect with our true self, that spiritual side of ourselves. And it's a way for us to unify our body, mind, and spirit. It's a way for us to remain more consistently connected to the divine source. And with all of that benefit, my friends, you cannot go wrong. Give it a try. See what you think. Please make sure and visit me at www.expansionmastery.com. You can check out some new blog articles there. You can order your autographed copy of Expansion Mastery, which has all of these challenges in it. There's some more information in the book, and I guide you through each one of these challenges. You can also get my ebook, Reinventing Yourself Through Realignment. It's all new and revised and expanded. And please, as always, help me out by sharing these podcasts and giving us the thumbs up on social media. And please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel that carries all of these podcasts. It's got some older videos of some of the stuff I've done on there as well. There's a lot of material on there. And I'm going to put some video shorts on there offering various tips for spiritual practices as soon as I finish this audio program that will be available on the website. So please make sure that you go to www.expansionmastery.com. Put your name in there, your address, so you join the Expansion Mastery family, and you will get updates on when everything is coming out, and you will know when that audio program on Mastering the Breath will be released before anyone else, so you will be able to get it immediately. Until next time, my friends, I wish you the very best in all of your practices and your life. Take care.